Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. John Wetz here again, and today I want to talk about going from a survival mindset into a thriving mindset, and 5 things I've done in my life to push me from that survival mindset into a thriving mindset. And I believe if you guys do these things as well, that you can absolutely make that jump as well and start experiencing more positive things in your life. And even when you don't, be in a better spot to handle those things and learn from them rather than let them push you into like a dark place or feel like you're just being defeated. So before we get too far into this, I want to talk about the Hawkins scale of consciousness. I'm going to put the chart up here in just a moment, but I'm going to explain it first for just a moment. What this chart is it shows you kind of all the different frequencies that we can vibrate at. We're all these energetic beings. Everything in life is energy, just vibrating at a different frequency. And your emotions are going to really play into what frequency you're vibrating at. Everything you do and interact with in your life will also help determine where you are falling on the scale. There's nothing right or wrong with this scale. Like, there's no good or bad place to be. It's simply to help you understand where you're at right now and where you could end up, and help you kind of identify where you're at. All right, so here's the scale. You see there's a lot of things on here. There's a bunch of different numbers and a bunch of different emotions and just states that you can be in. All the way at the top, you've got enlightenment, which is considered like ultimate consciousness. All the way at the bottom, you've got shame, guilt, and apathy and whatnot, which is considered to be more of like a suffering state. The general idea is you're either in a fear state or a love state, which kind of falls into the whole survival mindset and thriving mindset kind of thing. For me, I believe that the survival mindset starts around the 175 mark and everything beneath that into anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. For a second, I want to stop at the desire and just kind of explain it for a moment. A lot of people kind of get caught up on seeing desire so low there because it's like, wait, the things that I want are really low. It's not that the desire itself is low, it's normally what kind of falls with it. When we desire something, we're energetically sending out signals that we are missing something from our life. At least that's what we do often. Like, we get caught up in an attachment to our desires and thinking we have to have what we're wanting in order to be happy. So we start putting a lot of importance on it and thinking, if I don't get this, I'm not going to be happy. And that pushes you down, and it just can kind of spiral from the desire point into like a fear thing of, oh, what happens if I don't get what I'm wanting? And whether it's a person or a job or whatever it is. And when you don't get whatever it is, it can lead to grief, and you can kind of see where this spirals out of control kind of fast. So the key to your desires, and actually not letting it be a bad thing, is not creating attachment to your desires. Another thing to kind of keep in mind is when you're in this survival mindset, your desires are probably being created from like a pretty low bar set point. Because when you're in that survival mindset, you're not reaching for the sky. You're not daydreaming and thinking about all kinds of amazing things that could happen. You're just kind of thinking of things that help you get by, that would be just good enough for you. So don't get too attached to those desires while you're in that survival mindset, because you're not thinking of what could be best for you at that point. At least you're likely not. Maybe you are. I don't know. That's up to you for you to decide. But anyway, so when you're in the survival mindset, you may experience things like OCD behaviors. For me, I became really concerned about, for whatever reason, getting robbed. And I went through this period where I needed to check the door like 7 or 8 times to make sure that I locked it, that I didn't accidentally unlock it, or that I closed the garage door, or whatever it was. Inside of me, I was like, what am I doing this for? Like, I know I didn't accidentally unlock it. I know I locked it, but I just got really paranoid, and it, at the time, was some kind of defense mechanism that I didn't really need, but I thought I needed. If you catch yourself planning for the worst, or just not trusting people, or not trusting the universe, thinking that something bad is going to happen as soon as something good happens, it's going to pull you out of that happiness. If you start skipping out on things that you enjoy due to fear of like some random bad thing happening that you could have prevented, if you didn't do whatever it is you're wanting to do, if you're easily irritated, if you're making choices that you don't think you should be making, that's leading to feelings of feeling like guilty or embarrassed by those choices, if you're not really confident, if you're having a lot of experiences that help reinforce these behaviors and the belief that you need these behaviors, you're probably kind of in that survival mindset. And it's not easy to get out of, but you can do it. So, and that's what this video is going to try to help you with today, is giving you hope to get out of that mindset. When you're in the Thrive mindset, which I believe starts around 200 level, when you start getting to courage and up to neutrality, willingness, acceptance, and so on, like, you start to enter that flow state, which allows you to move up a little bit. And as you could kind of expect, a lot of the things that you experience when you're in that Thrive mindset is kind of the opposite of what you experience when you're in the survival mindset. You're a little bit more calm, you learn to go with the flow, you understand that things are happening for you instead of to you. You're at least willing to consider that that could be a possibility. You're more trusting of people and the universe and trying to find the good in people in all situations. You're probably going to be a little bit more confident. You're going to do things you like. You're in general happier and doing things that just feel like they bring a lot more positive synchronicity to your life. So anyway, let's start getting into the things that you can do to help get yourself there. The first one is I've talked about this before, and this won't be the last time, is follow your excitement and your passion. I said it many times before. If you listen to other YouTubers on topics like this for law of attraction or just making yourself happier, they're all going to tell you, follow your excitement and your passion. It's one of the most important things you can do. You don't have to start real big with it. You can start small and simple. You can work up to the big things later. But a big part of it is just building your trust that your excitement is going to guide you properly. You can just follow your excitement of wanting to take your dog for a walk for a little bit and trusting that it's going to work out okay. You're not going to have some traumatic experience by taking the dog out for a walk, or just deciding to go driving down the road, listening to music for a few hours and turning the music up loud, rolling the windows down, and just allowing yourself the freedom to even get lost. Turn down roads you don't normally go down. Don't worry about if you figure out where you're at. Just whatever is exciting to you. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be something big if you want to. It doesn't have to be, though. When you follow your excitement and your passion, you're telling the universe energetically, hey, I'm ready for more things like this. I'm ready for things that I like. I'm ready for new experiences, and I'm deserving of things like this. You're basically stepping out of your comfort zone, or at least taking action towards things that you feel passionate about. The universe is going to respond to those energies. Like I said, don't put too much attachment to whatever it is you're passionate about. Like, do it passionately, do it with all that's in you, but try to keep the mindset that maybe what you're passionate about right now is just taking you to a lesson to help yourself get to the version of you that you need to be for something that will bring you a lot more happiness in the future. Sometimes that's the only way that we can really get ourselves to take action and move towards something, because let's face it, we're kind of stubborn creatures. We get scared and we get very stagnant with moving forward on things. We procrastinate a lot, and we get comfortable where we're at. Sometimes we have to have that carrot in front of us that our higher selves or whatever is dangling in front there to kind of get us moving towards the direction we need to go. The second thing is to stop planning how you're going to respond to things that happen that you don't want. Stop planning to not be okay. Stop planning to feel like you're going to struggle if something bad happens. When you are in that survival mindset, it's really easy to try to play out scenarios to see how you could best prepare for it to respond to it appropriately. You're really not going to do anything to prevent the scenario from happening, because it's probably not going to play out in the way that you think it could. When we're in that survival mindset, our mind is constantly looking for patterns and whatnot to warn us of danger. And it does a good job of that at times. But it also does an even better job of thinking of all kinds of crazy scenarios that are very unlikely to happen. And then we spend a lot of time worrying about it, trying to figure out how to respond to it. And in the event that it does happen, we've already kind of pre-planned that we're not going to be okay when it does. For example, like if you tell yourself that, if my pet dies or my best friend, or if I lose this job, or I'm kind of going with extremes at the moment, but you get the idea. Like, you tell yourself you're not going to be okay when this stuff happens. And then if it does happen, what do you expect yourself to do? Do you expect yourself to be okay when you spend a lot of time telling yourself you're not going to be? You're not going to be okay if you're telling yourself you're not. This kind of plays into the whole subconscious mind driving our lives kind of thing. When you notice yourself doing this, start telling yourself a different story. Tell yourself that if this does happen, you don't know how you're going to get through it, but you will get through it. Tell yourself that you're going to be okay. Tell yourself that you have support, that you will find a way. Tell yourself that you are smart enough, that you're brave enough, that you're strong enough to get through it. You may not believe it right away, but again, look back at things that you've gotten through already in your life. You've made it through them all, or you wouldn't be here listening to this. You may not have saw how you're going to get through it, but you did. So don't discredit yourself and don't think that you're weak. Just because bad things happen to you doesn't mean you're weak. You can get through it, but stop. Oh, hit the camera. Stop planning to be not okay with things. All you're doing is helping yourself struggle through it more. You're not doing anyone any favors, especially yourself, by telling yourself you're not going to be okay. The third thing is to ask the universe to help you trust it. You don't have to go real big with this at first if you don't want to. I don't know quite where you're at with the survival mindset, so tailor it to you. Maybe just ask for an uneventful day where you do something that pushes you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but you need it to go relatively smooth. You don't have to bargain with the universe either. You don't have to, try to tell it, oh, I'll do this for you. And you don't have to talk to the universe either. You can talk to God or your spirit guides or whatever you feel comfortable with. Whatever your belief is with it, just talk to it. You do not have to bargain with it, though. You don't have to sit there and be like, hey, if you do this for me, I promise I won't do this, or I will do this. You're perfectly deserving of the universe just supporting you because you are, not because of what you do or anything else. You deserve its support just because you exist. So don't bargain with it. But when you ask for it to help build the trust for you, don't be surprised if it throws a little monkey wrench in there sometimes to help you see that it doesn't have to go according to your script or your plan for things to be okay. I'm going to go on a little personal story with this, where I kind of followed my excitement and kept talking to the universe and being like, hey, I need things to go smooth. So a big thing for me was, after I visited Orlando for the first time, I wanted to go back and do a solo trip where I got to experience, the theme parks, Universal and Disney and whatnot, on my own time without having to worry about a group or anything, where I could just, if I wanted to spend 7 hours exploring a single area, I could. I wanted that freedom, but I had a lot of fear of going away, 1,000 miles away from my home by myself. And it wasn't so much that I couldn't necessarily take care of myself. It was a mixture of worrying about my mom, whose health was kind of tanking at the time. Like, she had just gone through double bypass and a lot of heart issues. Not immediately, but like a few months prior to that. And, worrying about the pets, if they get loose or something, just in that survival mindset, you create all those scenarios. And I was doing absolutely that. It was really a big thing for me to get on an airplane by myself. Never had done that before, and go stay in a hotel by myself for a week and just be myself without worrying about taking care of everyone else. I had a lot of responsibility on my plate and kept thinking I had to do all those things in order to keep what I loved and who I loved alive and okay. That really wasn't the case, and I know that now. I know that I can live my life and experience positive things and the things that I want without having to be responsible for everyone else. Anyway, back to this story. And why I say to expect the little monkey wrenches. So when I was getting ready to go, I was going for a week. The night before, it was something like 10 p.m. My shoes were causing my feet to hurt quite a lot. And it turned out that I use these New Balance roll bar shoes, and the roll bar stuff, or the cushion for it, had been worn out so much that I was basically walking on metal. So I had shoes that were causing my feet to hurt, and I'm getting ready to go on a vacation where I'm going to be walking a lot. I went to Walmart and stuff, tried to find shoes, couldn't find anything that really fit well. I have big feet, so shoe shopping is kind of hard for me anyway. But when I went to buy the shoes that I did find that would suffice until I got to Orlando and found the shoe store that I needed, when I went to pay, the chip on my debit card had broke as well. It's 10 p.m. I'm getting on a plane at like 6 a.m. There's no way I can fix this debit card. So I'm crapping my pants. Like, do I have to cancel this trip? What am I gonna do? Like, I can't go without money. So, I'm sitting there freaking out. I called the bank and they were willing to send a card, but the problem was I was staying in different places. I wasn't going to be at the same hotel. They weren't willing to send it to just the hotel. They needed like a room number. You don't get a room number until you check in. So I couldn't have it mailed to me there either. So I had to have it mailed to my house and have them like next day ship it to me at the hotel when I got there. And I basically had to live off cash for a while, which it's not a big deal, but in today's day and age, it kind of was a big deal. This was back in 2019, I think it was, that this happened. So anyway, first real time doing this, and I asked for it to go smooth. It ultimately did go smooth, just a little bit of hiccups. Got on the plane, went there by myself, had to live off of cash for the first few days, didn't have my debit card working, but it all worked well. And eventually, I honestly think I was even rewarded for following the excitement and not letting myself get beat down by this, because the trip was originally going to stay for 5 days. And towards the end of it, I started wanting to stay a little bit longer. I think I was on like day 3 or 4. And I was like, kind of hope that I could make this work. Maybe I can swing it somehow financially, or the timeshare will open up with more vacancy and we can use points for it or something. Long story short, the 5-day trip ended up turning into, and this is a bit excessive, but I was able to do it at the time. It went from 5 days to me being able to stay for, I think it was a grand total of 20 days. So quite a lot more. I'm not saying that you're going to have the exact same experience, but when you do start to follow your excitement and ask the universe for things, expect it to play with you and expect it to do things for you that you didn't even think would happen. Like, when I started planning that trip, I didn't think that I thought I would be there for 5 days. It really didn't even cost me a whole lot more either. Like, things that kind of started happening, friends that I like helped with money years before just spontaneously decided out of nowhere, hey, remember that time you helped me? I'll pay you back now, without any prompting from me or anything. It was just kind of like the universe was like, hey, you took this leap. Here you go. Let's, thank you for trusting me, kind of thing. It works in really mysterious ways. Don't get caught up in thinking that it has to work for you in a specific way, or that it's going to do the same thing for you every single time, because that's not been my experience with it either. Like, it goes through these flows where it's kind of, it decides to teach you things, and then it decides to help you with things and let things go smooth. You'll go through kind of the ups and downs with it, just like you would before you kind of get into this spiritual mindset with stuff. But you start to see where it will actually interact with you a little bit, and that you can trust that good things are going to happen, and the bad things that happen aren't happening to hurt you. The fourth thing to do is live in the now. Your anxiety and whatnot is coming from thinking about the future and things that may or may not happen. Don't rob yourself of fully experiencing whatever it is you're doing in the moment by worrying about what may or may not happen. Like, put your energy in your immediate surroundings and everything that is happening for you right then. It sounds simple, and it is. It may seem like it's very insignificant, but it's not. When you fully experience what is immediately around you, you're going to notice a lot more about it. You're going to notice the good, you're going to notice the things that you may not prefer, but you're also going to notice a lot of things that you would have missed if you were just focusing on everything but right then and there in that time. This may not happen overnight for you. It may be really hard for you to master, and it may take time for you to master, keeping yourself in the now. But that's okay, because it probably took you a bit of time to master constantly thinking about the future and preparing for the worst and stuff like that. Like, be gentle with yourself when you catch yourself finding yourself thinking about the future and getting anxious about whatever. Just gently nudge yourself to get back into whatever it is you're doing and just live in that moment. It seems simple. It seems like there should be more to it, but doing the simple thing of just living in the now is gonna really help you a lot. Like, a lot of times we will wait for an experience and then not fully experience it because we are constantly worrying about what's to come. And then look back and be like, shit, I looked forward to this day for so long, but I didn't even let myself enjoy it. So, focus on what you're doing when you're doing it. Don't worry about things that are yet to come, and definitely don't worry about things that happened before. Like, just stay in the present. The fifth and final thing is try to reframe the story that you tell yourself about why certain things happen to you. Whatever happened to help push you into that survival mindset, you have the power and the permission to change the story you tell yourself of why it happened. If all you're telling yourself is it just happened to you and it was for nothing and it kind of sucked, but you don't know, you can't really find a reason for it, that's not really going to help you. And maybe I'm crazy for wanting to find things and everything, but I tend to really lean towards everything happens for a reason. Sometimes, like I said, the only way that we can get ourselves to move forward with something is through creating a lot of pressure. And sometimes pressure means painful experiences. Any way that you can kind of tell yourself something happened for a reason, for helping you, it gives it purpose. And so it's no longer just this meaningless thing that happened for no reason to you. I'm talking about this out of experience. Like, at some point I'll get into a lot of the specifics, I guess, of what happened to me and what led me to what was like my deepest points. It was a mixture of people treating me very poorly and kind of destroying my self-worth for a while, and losing a lot of people that I cared about, both from them just kind of choosing to walk out of my life or from them passing away, whether it was natural or I had a few people in my life that actually committed suicide as well. So, reframing those experiences and separating them is important as well. Understanding, like, for me, with people passing away and stuff like that, that's not something that is happening to you. That's not something that's even necessarily, I don't believe, happening for you. People's lives ending or animals' lives ending, that has to do with their soul's journey. You're going to experience things from it, but separating yourself from thinking that that's something that's happening to you is kind of key, in my opinion, to dealing with it. When I'm talking about things happening to you, I'm talking about the interactions you have with people or just the general experiences that you have, and understanding the difference between things happening to you and things happening for you, understanding the difference of things happening to and for other people, and what parts are yours to actually own and what parts are yours to just, or what parts really aren't yours, is what I should say, I guess. Oftentimes the point where people start to actually like soul search and whatnot is unfortunately when they hit rock bottom. We normally have to have a lot of painful experiences and pressure to cause us to want to make change. A lot of times this stuff will lead to what people call either a spiritual awakening or go through something called dark night of the soul. We'll get into those a little bit more later. They're just terms that are kind of important for people to know and become aware of. There's a lot of videos out there on them already. I'll eventually do videos on them myself as well. But normally people in the spiritual community, they come to their spiritual beliefs through pain and trauma. And it's not fun at first. But for me, you know, I wish people were still here that I've lost. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't go back and wish that they could come back and it could have worked out a different way. But as far as the other like traumatic, hurtful experiences of people saying mean things to me, or just honestly, really everything that's happened, I wouldn't change it at this point. Like, while it hurt, I have a love for it and a appreciation for it because it made me who I am now. And I'm honestly proud of who I am. You know, it led to the spiritual awakening for myself. It was not fun going through it at the time. Like, God bless that it hurt sometimes, and it still does at times, you know. But I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy where my life's at. I'm excited about where it's going, and I wouldn't want to miss what's happening at this point, simply to change things that happened before. Like, I'm good with it at this point. And I fully believe that that can be you, and not as long as you might think, if you apply some of these things that I'm talking about. Like, this is basically the path that I've taken to get to where I'm at, where I'm happy and excited about life again, instead of traumatized by it and expecting it to just crap on me every chance it gets. That's something that I've kind of found is prominent in the spiritual community as well. A lot of the other YouTubers on here that talk about their spiritual awakenings and stuff, they all had a lot of traumatic experiences and a lot of things that they almost wish didn't happen, but they understand the purpose of it now, and they wouldn't change it, or wouldn't change it much, because they too have found a love for themselves and are happy with who they are. They understand that it was probably the only way that they were going to end up where they're at now. One thing I want to make sure that people understand with the scale of consciousness is it's perfectly normal for you to fluctuate quite a lot. Like, just because you hit more of like a love standpoint, or, you know, sit up at reason and joy, or wherever you're sitting at, it doesn't mean that you can't fall back at times. Like, we all fluctuate through it. It's part of the life experience. What you want to try to do, though, is change where your reset point is. You know, rather than, like, when you're in like a survival mindset, it's really easy to have your reset point be around like the fear level or a little bit beneath it. The idea is to raise your vibration to like your normal point, to being something more around neutrality or willingness, or a little higher than that even. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys got something from it. I'll be back here soon with another one, and much love, and hope everyone's doing well out there.